Okay. And our stream our stream is looking good.
Hey, Dan, just FYI, the my other interpreter, Carly, is not a host or a co-host.
Okay. What's her screen?
Interpreter with the green.
Interpreter with the green trees instead of the black and white.
Green trees. Got it. Did that work then?
We'll check 1 second.
It doesn't seem.
No.
Hmm. I don't know why that's not working. So Boof, that is, it's not allowing me to do so, and I'm not sure why.
Yeah, it worked last time we did this, but for some reason now it's not. We're trying to fix it to see if I can. Where'd you go? Oh, there you. Oh, I can spotlight you. Okay, we got it. We fixed it. Thank you, Dan.
Sure. Sorry about that.
I can't.
There we go.
Okay, so you'll
We're
send
ready,
me
Dan.
the
Thank you.
ones.
All right, Sean, you're on whenever you're ready.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 2020 Arizona Psychological Association and Arizona Psychological Foundation's annual awards. Both the folks joining us in the studio and those that are viewing this live on YouTube. My name is Dr. Sean Flynn. I'm the chair of the 2020 ASBA Convention Committee. This has been a challenging year, and the folks who put this evening together are deserving of extra thanks for their creativity and dedication. Their work here is an example of how we're all having to find new ways of celebrating old traditions and keeping alive the purpose and meaning for doing so. I want to thank Doctors Jane Hamilton, Andy Hogue, Dan Schulte, and Ellen Williams, who serve on the awards committee of ASBA, and Dr. Stephanie Hatch, Christine Leibowitz, Marisa Menchola, Mark Rohde, and David Weinstock, who serve on the Arizona Psychological Foundation Awards Committee. I also want to thank Ms. Desiree Barkin and Ms. Jessica Painter of our association management company for their work in helping us to put this program together for you tonight. So without further delay, our first award. The award is for the Outstanding Early Career Psychologist. This award is presented by the Arizona Psychological Foundation. It honors psychologists who are in their first 10 years of their careers. It recognizes those new psychologists who are already making significant contributions in the areas of professional leadership, service, and research. Recipients of this award are the future of psychology in our state. This year's recipient is Dr. John Delatorre. Dr. Delatorre has been a licensed psychologist since 2018. He's been active in the media as a commentator for the Law and Crime Trial Network. Dr. Delatorre volunteers his time as a disaster mental health volunteer for the American Red Cross and chairs the Disaster Resource Network for the Arizona Psychological Association. He has been active in providing information, awareness, and engagement with the current COVID-19 pandemic, and has spent time educating other psychologists on physical safety in the workplace. Dr. Delatorre's level of involvement with the psychological community early in his career is a testament to his dedication to the field. Congratulations, Dr. Delatorre.
I would like to thank ASBA and the foundation for this amazing award. I would also like to thank my partner, Angela, the girls, my mom and Art, Renee and Jerry, all my colleagues, friends, and family. Nothing is done in a vacuum, and I had amazing support through these very strange times, which showed us the importance of leaning on one another can still be accomplished, even when we can't physically lean. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Delatorre. Our next award is the Award for Outstanding Postdoctoral Resident. This award is chosen by the Arizona Psychological Foundation, which is a sister nonprofit corporation of ASBA. It recognizes postdoctoral residents in Arizona who have demonstrated exceptional potential for leadership roles within psychology. Dr. Brittany Brown recently completed her postdoctoral residency at Psychological and Consulting Services. Dr. Brown is an active member of the Board of Directors for the Arizona Psychological Foundation and serves as Secretary of ASBA's Disaster Resource Committee. When COVID began to hit Arizona, Dr. Brown was quick to reach out to her fellow residents in the Arizona Psychology Training Consortium. She demonstrated leadership, by collaborating with others on maintaining the mental health and wellness of the residents during the pandemic. Dr. Brown is a leader among her peers and shows great promise in becoming a leader among the psychological community in Arizona. Congratulations, Dr. Brown.
Thank you so much, Sean. I feel so humbled to have been chosen for this award, and I'm just so honored to be recognized among such amazing people. There have been so many people who have helped me get to where I am today, and I really wish I had time to thank everybody. But I at least want to take a moment to thank my residency supervisor, Dr. Brecken Blades, for her endless patience and support and understanding and guidance, for always demonstrating positive leadership, especially in the face of adversity, and for teaching me to respond with grace as well as strength. I also want to thank my husband for his love and support throughout my graduate school journey, and for my parents for everything that they've done for me. I really hope and will do my best to live up to the leadership and service ideals of our discipline. And I really look forward to a lifetime of service. So thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Brown. Our next award is for the Outstanding Psychology Faculty Member. This award is chosen by the ASPA Graduate Student Membership. It recognizes the many and varied roles that psychology faculty perform in the education and mentoring of their students. It honors those faculty members who have inspired students and colleagues, contributed to the advancement of psychological science, and created an atmosphere of joyful learning. This year's recipient is Dr. Jessica Powell. Dr. Powell is an assistant professor at Midwestern University in Glendale. She coordinates the neuropsychology training program. She conducts research in neuroscience. Dr. Powell was selected by the graduate students in ASPA because of her dedication to teaching and mentoring. She genuinely cares about her students, and they in turn genuinely care about her. Congratulations, Dr. Powell.
Hello, and thank you. In true professor form, I'm going to start a timer to make sure I don't go over my allotted time here. But I just wanted to say thank you to ASBA first and foremost for this award. You know, I think getting an award like this is amazing anytime, but this was just really extra special this year amidst all the darkness and kind of chaos that we've had. When I first got the call from Dr. Hogue, I actually thought it was a prank, and I was waiting for him to tell me, and for $1,000, we will send you a plaque. And it wasn't until he mentioned a student name that I realized it was for real. And I am just so humbled and so honored that I actually got misty-eyed, and I hung up the phone, and my 8-year-old daughter was standing there and asked me what was wrong. And I explained that I had happy tears, and I really just needed a little bit of light in that moment, and that I had received some good news. And she began to cry, and she said that she was so happy and so proud of me. And since that time, I think the very first thing she says to everyone she meets is that this is my mom, and she's the best psychology teacher. And seeing the pride that she has in the moment is worth everything. So none of that would have happened without this award, and it has been great. I would be remiss to not thank my family for their support, my daughter Peyton, my son Benson, and my husband Evan, who have just been very supportive and very kind as I've worked late nights or had extra meetings with students. I also want to thank the faculty members. You know, teaching is a funny thing at this level because you don't go to school to learn how to teach and be a faculty member. When you work on your first dissertation, you think, wow, I've only done this one other time. Yet here I am advising students how to do it. So it's a lot of learning on the fly and a lot of learning from others. So I humbly and graciously want to thank all of my faculty members. And then lastly, of course, I want to thank the students for nominating me and for thinking of me, because it truly means the world. And I'm just so grateful that I'm a part of your journey. Thank you.
Congratulations again, Dr. Hall. Our next award is for the Distinguished Contribution to Diversity. This award is given to persons who advocate for diversity in all forms in our state. Diversity may include racial, economic, ethnic, sexual identity, religion, disability, or other factors. It recognizes the value of identities and lifestyles that enrich the population of our state. This year's recipient is Dr. Evelyn Burrell. Dr. Burrell is the diversity representative on the ASPA Governing Council. During the protests over police brutality and racial injustice, she provided leadership and training to ASPA members and the community. Her company, Arise Consultation and Training Services, offers training to psychologists and educators on social justice and inclusion issues. She has worked with community organizations in Phoenix to give a voice to underserved populations. Congratulations, Dr. Burrell.
Thank you all so much. I want to first thank the Arizona Psychological Association for even considering me for this. It's very much so of a privilege to be able to receive this award. I'm pretty sure I haven't received an award since like high school. So there's that. I have to thank my husband. Shortly after I became a licensed psychologist, him and I had come to Jesus talk about about who I am as a person and what kind of psychologist I could be. And we spoke a lot about what my passions are, what my goals are, and what I would like to ultimately contribute to this profession. And I really found myself in diversity and equity and inclusion. And I appreciate the support and the care and the concern that I've received, not only from my colleagues and the individuals that are part of ASPA, who's made me part of this amazing family, but my mom, who is probably watching this YouTube right now, who has always told me to follow my heart and to follow my dreams, and has been very, very much of a support as I've moved forward in my education and my career. My sisters, my brothers, my nieces, my nephews, all the people in my family, aunts, everyone really, who come to my event to support the work that I'm doing and who remind me to stay grounded and to stay focused. So thank you so much for being part of my vision, and thank you so much for this award. I really appreciate it.
Thank you and congratulations again, Dr. Burrell. Our next award is for the Distinguished Contribution to Science. Research and scholarship are the scientific foundations of psychology. This award honors those who disseminate their scholarship through undergraduate and graduate teaching. Scholars mentor their students to value intellectual curiosity, scientific methodology, and critical reasoning. The Distinguished Contribution to Science Award recognizes Arizona psychologists who conduct research that improves the lives of others. This year's recipient, Dr. Jamie Edgen, is an associate professor in the Cognition and Neural Systems program in the Department of Psychology of the University of Arizona. Her area of research is the neuroscience of developmental disorders. She is receiving this award for her current work on the role of sleep in Down syndrome. Dr. Edgen volunteers her time with several organizations associated with developmental disabilities to bring the latest research to help persons with disabilities. Congratulations, Dr. Edgen.
Thank you, Sean. It's wonderful to be here today, and I'm so honored to accept this award. I'd like to thank the Arizona Psychological Association for considering me and my work, and for Marisa Menchola for nominating me. I've learned a lot about psychology in our state through participation in this association. I'm grateful for this organization. I've also learned a lot of things in the last years as an academic psychologist, including one lesson I teach my students and my own children, and that is to foster the fire in your belly to understand and potentially change a problem. For me, that included researching the extent that sleep disturbance is present and influencing the lives and learning of children with developmental disabilities. I was privileged to have funding and academic support to address those questions, and I thank the Department of Psychology at the University of Arizona for much of that support. I also thank the talented students and collaborators that I've been fortunate to work with. Really pivotal to those collaborations have been the support of the international Down syndrome community through engaging in studies and their advocacy to find answers regarding sleep problems of their loved ones. I now have a new mission, and that is to support sex abuse prevention for vulnerable individuals in our state. This is work I'm pursuing alongside the Sonoran University Center for Excellence in Developmental Disabilities and with an inaugural group of policy fellows there. And finally, but really foremost, I would like to thank my children, Leo and Lillian, my mother, Sibylla, and my fiance, Jeff Swanson. They allow me to focus every day on what's really important, and I'm very grateful for that. So thank you very much.
Thank you and congratulations. The next award is for the distinguished contribution to the professional practice of psychology. Those who apply psychology in professional practice are experts in assessing and diagnosing problems, preventing and alleviating suffering, and expanding healthcare and resilience. The Distinguished Contribution to the Professional Practice of Psychology Award recognizes those who dedicated their efforts to the prevention, assessment, or treatment of mental health problems. Recipients may have developed a clinical strategy, promoted a theoretical orientation or modality, or brought a psychological intervention to an underserved population. This year's recipient is Dr. Nancy Eldridge. Dr. Eldridge provides psychotherapy services to the deaf community in Tucson. She is the former director of the Rehabilitation Counseling Deafness Program at the University of Arizona. Dr. Eldridge is fluent in American Sign Language. She has conducted research and provided training in several countries. She makes psychotherapy accessible to this underserved population. Congratulations, Dr. Eldridge.
Thank you so very much. I want to thank ASPA for this award. I am very honored and very humbled by this experience. I also want to thank the sign language interpreters and ask them to take over and sign for me, so then I can just talk in using in my native language myself. So working in the field of deafness has and more particularly working with deaf and hard of hearing individuals has been just one of the best things that has ever happened to me in my life. It has taken me on a fantastic journey, beginning with, 100 years ago with the first boy who showed up in a swimming class that I was teaching who was deaf. And I learned 3 signs to work with him. I learned watch me, do it again, and good. And, from that moment, then going to the Texas School for the Deaf and living with 15 girls who were aged 11 to 13, and my 3 signs were like totally not enough. It was a rough beginning, but as I became more through the immersion and them teaching me, I became better in sign language and they became nicer to me as I learned the language. It's just been an amazing journey. Like I say, I've been, I've worked as a vocational rehabilitation counselor with a mental health caseload, gotten a master's degree in counseling the deaf, then went on to become, along the way, I got nationally certified as a sign language interpreter, which paid for my doctorate, thankfully. And then after I completed my PhD, I was hired at the U of A to direct their rehab counseling for the deaf program. Since then, after leaving there, I've been in private practice for many, many years. And it's just been, I've had these amazing opportunities to work with and do research with American Indians who are deaf, with Australian Aborigines who are deaf and hard of hearing, working with the Chinese psychologist in China to do research with deaf children there. But the most important part of all of these years of working has been my relationships with people who have taught me so very much, and having my life enriched by the deaf and hard of hearing friends and colleagues and my clients who I've worked with. Frankly, one of the things that I've often said is that almost everything that I've learned in that's important has been from my clients. Well, that in the National Public Radio, but mostly, I just learned so much, and I feel like my life has just been blessed with wonderful colleagues and working with counselors, and and it's just such a gift for me that people entrust me with their lives and their confidence, and to be able to work with them. So again, I'm so very humbled by this, and I'm grateful because I have so clearly benefited from this work, and it's given my life such meaning, and it's truly made me a better person. I want to thank my family. I want to thank my friends and my colleagues, wonderful VR counselors that I've worked with over the years. And I want to thank you again to the interpreters. So thank you very much.
Thank you, and congratulations again, Dr. Eldridge. Our next award is for the Distinguished Contribution to Advocacy. The Advocacy Award honors those who have used their expertise to assist the psychological community and broader society by building coalitions to achieve social goals. They may work with psychological organizations, community organizations, judicial or legislative bodies, or the public to advance worthwhile causes. This year's recipients are Dr. Roxana Samaniego and Dr. Courtney Schoenemann. Dr. Samaniego and Schoenemann are receiving this award for their work on the SAPA in the Community program. Dr. Samaniego is the current president of SAPA. Dr. Schoenemann is the chair of the SAPA in the Community Committee of SAPA. The SAPA in the Community Committee works with local art, theater, film, and dance organizations to bring psychological information to the Tucson community. It integrates cultural diversity and mental health information with the creative arts. It is an exemplary community outreach program. Congratulations, Dr. Samaniego and Dr. Schoenemann.
I'm so honored to receive this award and thrilled to share it with my friend, Dr. Courtney Schoenemann. Thank you to ASPA and the foundation, and thanks to my husband, my daughters, and my parents for their unwavering support. I'm so proud of the work of SAPA in the community and that committee, but I can't take the credit. One of the other award recipients tonight, Dr. Nancy Eldridge, had the idea that not only could we support psychologists, but we could intervene more broadly in the community. And I'm just grateful that Courtney and I were able to continue this mission and forge relationships with different organizations within the arts to bring psychology to the public in innovative ways. I also feel fortunate that from the beginning, there's just been this core group of amazing psychologists within the committee who are passionate about this work. I also want to thank our community partners, including the Arizona Repertory Theater, the Artifact Dance Company, Arizona Theater Company, and especially Mariana Pegno and the entire Tucson Museum of Art, who provide the platform and the audience for us to do our work. Thank you. And now Dr. Schoenemann.
Thank you, Roxana. I also am honored to share this award with my friend Roxana Samaniego, but we could not have done it without our amazing team of psychologists, including Drs. Martin Levy, Lucy Wilson, Shannon Sticken, Andy Bernstein, Marisa Minchola, Jeffrey Lecter, Patricia Penn, and our amazing doctoral level graduate student, Aubrey Wank-Ladd. I'm also so grateful to my amazing husband, my beautiful girls, Malia and Liana, and our family that supported me in these extracurricular activities. This amazing team has done some incredible work, the outreach in Southern Arizona, and we've done over 40 events in the last 3 years focused on outreach, mental health, and wellness. Even during the pandemic, we are working hard to provide resources for coping with COVID-19 and recording mental health minutes, outreach videos to assist the community during this difficult time. I am honored to accept this award on behalf of this amazing team. Thank you.
Thank you, and congratulations again, guys. Our next award is for Distinguished Service to Psychology. Distinguished service as a psychologist is reflected in leadership and support of the psychological community. The Distinguished Service to Psychology Award honors those who have served ASPA and other professional organizations. Recipients may have defended their profession from the efforts to restrict the practice of psychology in Arizona. The Distinguished Service to Psychology Award is given to our leaders who have dedicated themselves to unselfish service for our profession. This year's recipient is Dr. Duffy Wagman. Dr. Wagman is a school psychologist in the Catalina Foothills Unified School District in Tucson. For many years, he worked in the Sunnyside Unified School District in Tucson. He has served as the president of SAPA twice. Dr. Wagman has mentored a generation of school psychologists in Southern Arizona. He volunteers his time to educate the community about adolescent development and learning issues. Congratulations, Dr. Wagman.
Thank you. Thank you to the awards committee and to ASPA. I am truly grateful to receive this honor. And thank you to all the little people who helped me get here today. Those kindergarten and preschool kids sure taught me a lot. I've been a school psychologist for nearly 40 years and can't believe it's been that long. And much has changed over that time. Our tools have changed, technology has changed, the laws have changed, and our paperwork has changed, but never to be less. It's always more and more. But what hasn't changed are the things that are really important in working with kids. Forming relationships and treating with respect, dignity, and honesty, no matter how old they are. I've been blessed with the opportunity to work with and teach a multitude of school psychology students over the past 25 plus years. From being someone to shadow in their first year of supervising to supervising postdocs for their license. I've also been a mentor to many early school psychologists. I have tried to teach them not only the how of the profession, but also more basic attitudes. These include do the job with integrity, curiosity, and honesty. Do the best job you can for every child. Ask tough questions so you can find out more than the superficial presenting issue. Think about what we do. Question procedures and outcomes. Be honest. Understand you don't know when something you say will make a large difference in someone's life. Understand that school psychologists are only a small part of a larger system when working in a school, and that we are an important part. The attitude we have about treating difficult students can make a big difference in a school. I am passionate about these issues. So thank you to all my students who have listened to my rants about these things over the years. Again, I want to express my gratitude to ASPA for this award. And I also want to thank my family who have put up with these rants at home over the years too. Recognition by one's peers is a very high praise. Thank you.
Congratulations and thank you for your service, Dr. Wagman. Our next award is for Lifetime Advocacy. This is a special award being given this year. The award recognizes remarkable contributions in the field of advocacy across a lifetime of professional service. And this year's recipient is Dr. Pat Johnson. Dr. Johnson has been the Federal Advocacy Coordinator for ASPA for 32 years. She is finally leaving that leadership role and will be missed. She has done lobbying for ASPA and APA on Capitol Hill in Washington, and she has mentored many other ASPA leaders. She is truly knowledgeable about state and federal legislative issues. Dr. Johnson is a former president of ASPA and a past recipient of the Aaron and Maddie Cantor Award. She is legendary. Congratulations, Dr. Johnson.
Sorry. Okay. Thanks, Sean. This award from my peers recognizing my work as an advocate for psychology and mental health is very special. When we think about advocacy, the first thing that comes to mind is in the political arena, with a primary focus on legislative activities, and indeed, that's where a lot is achieved. My early career was in general hospital settings, including my internship at the VA. My first clinical position here in Arizona was at what we used to call County Hospital. I eventually became the only non-MD member of the Department of Internal Medicine after starting in psychiatry. I later worked for or had medical staff privileges at Good Sam, currently Banner, and at St. Joe's. I realized in all those settings, I advocated for the independent and unsupervised practice of psychology. Professional parity in terms of medical staff membership was hard fought across the country. We worked to be accepted as real doctors with skills to perform consultations, diagnosis, treatment, education of medical and ancillary staff, and research in conjunction with other medical specialties in the general hospital setting without supervision. When I became president of ASBA, psychologists were certified. So ASBA, we put together a task force and eventually achieved licensure, advocating for the right to independently diagnose and treat mental illness. This was done with much hard work and relationship building in the Arizona legislature. The APA Practice Directorate then started the annual leadership meetings where psychologists from all over the states, provinces, and territories met in DC to extend our reach into Congress. An early achievement was the passage of Senate Bill 100 in the 1989-1990 congressional session, which mandated psychologists be included for payment in Medicare as independent providers of mental health services. This was a landmark achievement because as Medicare goes, so goes the insurance industry. Although this bill eventually had 28 bipartisan co-sponsors in the Senate, it started in West Virginia. Psychologists there met with Senator Jay Rockefeller and showed him a map of West Virginia, where psychiatrists and psychologists were located. West Virginia is mostly rural, and psychiatrists were in the cities, but psychologists were all across the state and in the rural areas. That advocacy by those psychologists for the mental health needs of the residents of the state impressed the senator, and he championed the bill. The prime sponsor of the companion House bill was Morris Udall of Arizona. We worked in DC for years on parity, which meant that an insurer could not place limits on mental health care unless they had the same limits on healthcare. We have been successful in the Arizona legislature on many issues, such as freedom of choice. I want to thank all of you who have been part of Arizona's grassroots network over the years, responding to calls to action and contacting members of Congress. I hope that this little reminder of past successes will motivate us to continue to keep up all the great work in all areas that psychology touches. Thank you.
Congratulations, Dr. Johnson, and thank you for all your service. Our next award is the first annual Hal Arkowitz Distinguished Mentor Award. It's being given by the Arizona Psychological Foundation. Mentors play a unique and critical role in supporting the development of future generations in our profession. This year's first annual Hal Arkowitz Distinguished Mentor Award is presented by the Arizona Psychological Association to honor those who readily share what they know with their students, early career psychologists, and established colleagues. Through their work, they help others integrate their personal and professional roles. To introduce the award and this year's recipient, Dr. Marisa Manchola.
Thank you, Sean. As many of you know, last year we lost a beloved member of the Arizona psychological community, Dr. Hal Arkowitz. Thank you to ASPA and the foundation for allowing me to say a few words to honor this exceptional man that the foundation's Outstanding Mentor Award is now named after. Hal was a gifted therapist who truly embodied unconditional positive regard and a collaborative respect for patients. He was a prolific researcher who was devoted to understanding how people change and how the therapeutic relationship can help overcome the barriers for change. And he was a dedicated teacher, both in the classroom and when disseminating scientific knowledge to the public. But Hal was also the quintessential mentor. A recurrent theme when Hal's students describe working with him is how he guided us to find what truly mattered to us, so we could build a life based on our values and not some prescribed notion of academic success. His mentorship was a true partnership. He trusted his students, and he saw his role as bringing out what was already within us. He showed us how our goals and next steps appear clearly when we prioritize our truest values. Hal did what great mentors do. They see in us what we cannot yet see in ourselves. They believe in us in a way in which we cannot yet believe in ourselves. And they show us paths that we cannot yet find by ourselves. When we train with great teachers, we walk away with much knowledge. But when we train with great mentors, we walk away carrying part of that person with us. And Hal did so much more than teach us. He shaped us as individuals with his kindness and his wisdom and his humor. So those of us who owe so much to his mentorship now strive to emulate him as clinicians and academics and mentors ourselves. We are all deeply grateful to the Arizona Psychological Foundation for honoring Hal by naming its Outstanding Mentor Award after him. So I'll now turn it over to David Weinstock to introduce the 2020 recipient of the Hal Arkowitz Outstanding Mentor Award. David?
Thank you. So Dr. Earl is a clinical director of psychological counseling services in Scottsdale. He's provided supervision to interns and postdoc residents in Arizona since 1993. His supervision and mentorship have shaped many well-rounded psychologists and marriage and family therapists in Arizona. Dr. Earl has served as a board member and president of the Society for Advancement of Sexual Health, as well as a board member of the Arizona Association for Marriage and Family Therapy. His leadership and mentorship have been invaluable to the Arizona mental health community. Which brings me to some words about the Hal Arkowitz Award and Hal. Hal was one of my professors also at the U of A, and one of my fondest memories of Hal was that he was both a teacher and a friend, as we just heard. He personally cared about his students. That's why I was thrilled to learn that Marcus was the first recipient of the award. Hal and Marcus treated students similarly, recognizing the human side of the relationship. I had the privilege of being one of Marcus's students at PCS. It was one of the most valuable experiences of my career. I asked other students about their thoughts about Marcus. One identified that Marcus saw my potential as a therapist before I saw my own, very similar to something was just said about Hal. He was selfless with his time and was personally invested in my success at PCS. Marcus was my mentor, my inspiration, and my friend. Another former student identified, I would not be where I am today professionally without his guidance, direction, support, and professional wisdom. With great pleasure, we recognize Marcus Earl as the first recipient of the Hal Arkowitz Mentor Award.
Marcus, I apologize. You're muted. Can you please unmute?
Okay. Yes, I'm now available. You missed the best part of what I was going to say. Let me try it again. What I was reflecting on is how I was listening to Marissa and David talk about how he's somebody that I wanted to say I wanted to be like him. And David, what you shared was kind, and what others have shared is very kind. And so to be receiving an award named after Hal is something truly special. I read some things about him, and one of the things mentioned about him is that his humor and kindness defined him. And I go, wow, that's just a wonderful way to be described. And now I've heard even more about him. I think that the legacy that somebody like Hal would leave would be something deeply meaningful, profound, and just be enduring with time, because it's about relationships and about people. His family must be very, very proud of him. As David said, I began supervising back in 1993 when I was 32. When I think about that right now, that seems foolish to start supervising when you're 32 years old. And yet that's what I think created an environment and supervision to where I realized that the supervisee was learning, but more importantly, I was learning as we were going forward. And so the relationship continued to evolve with each and every person I worked with. There's so much that I learned with every individual that's passed through PCS that it's just created such a rich experience for me. I don't think a lot's changed in the past 27 years, other than I'm definitely older, questioning if I'm wiser. But what's most striking for me as I reflect back is how vulnerable, and engaged each of the students were in their own learning as they were developing into the unique professional that they were going to be throughout their career. I've come to believe that the great therapists in our midst are the ones that have had the humility to be clients themselves and really dig in and look at what the barriers are in the relationships, what the barriers to, when they run up against things with clients and they say, boy, I need to go in and get help myself. And I've been mentored by my professors. So many colleagues over the years have taught me so much. I'm grateful for my dad. The courage he's had, the faith he's had in me to take me on, the patience he's witnessed over time. And although I'm quite certain he would have wished I was wearing a tie and a jacket right now, his willingness to continue to let me to be who I am and how I do life. My wife, Robin, she's mentored me and how to be an intimate partner. Wish I was a quicker learner, but she's been patient as well. And then my adult children Andrew and Sarah, have been so willing to work with me and show me and be patient with me and how to be a better parent. I do believe mentoring is a role we all assume. in some form or another. I just find it a wonderful experience for personal growth and developing more connections in life. I find myself grateful for the opportunity to walk alongside so many people over these years, and I'm looking forward to the future with more relationships. And I'm grateful for ASPA and the Arizona Psychological Foundation, for this award and establishing it. Seems to be a great way to honor somebody like Hal. So thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Earl. The final award of our program tonight is the Aaron and Maddie Cantor Award for Lifetime Achievement in Psychology. The Aaron and Maddie Cantor Award is the highest award given by the Arizona Psychological Association. It is given to recipients who have demonstrated leadership and dedication in psychology. For more than 60 years, Aaron and Maddie Cantor embodied the best of our profession. The distinguished contribution to the Professional Psychology Award honors those who follow their sense of compassion and service. The award is given to those who have shown commitment to ASPA and the broader psychological community throughout their careers. This year's recipient is Dr. Marty Levy. Dr. Levy has served the community of Arizona for over 36 years. He was president of ASPA in 1997 and president of SAPA twice. He received the prestigious Carl F. Heiser Award for Advocacy for Psychology from the American Psychological Association. ASPA recognized his many contributions with the Distinguished Service and Distinguished Mentor Awards. His greatest contribution is his genuine kindness. He has been a leader in Southern Arizona for decades through his unselfish service to the profession and the community. Congratulations, Dr. Levy.
Thank you, Sean. I'm beyond honored to be presented with the Cantor Award for Lifetime Achievement. I'm very grateful to those who nominated me and to the ASPA Leadership Development Committee that selected me. There's nothing so meaningful for me than being given an award by my colleagues, especially one of this magnitude. Receiving this honor at the age of 80 has encouraged me to look back over my 57 years as a psychologist. Let me tell you, things were different 57 years ago, and I've seen a lot of change. Back then, psychologists were second-class citizens. We did a lot of testing and relatively little psychotherapy because psychotherapy was reserved for psychiatrists. I still remember an incident at Toledo State Hospital where I was an extern. I received a request for evaluation from a staff psychiatrist with no referral question. So I met with my supervisor to find out what to do. He called the psychiatrist about the reason for the referral and was told, and I quote, "I sent the patient to the technicians in X-ray, so I thought I would send the patient to the technicians in psychology." While that response was much more offensive than most, it depicted the second-class status psychologists had in the 1960s. You can see that the incident, which occurred over 50 years ago, made an indelible impression on me. In 1971, I completed a 2-year postdoctoral fellowship at the University of Rochester Medical Center, a place that was quite progressive and ultimately led to my job as chief clinical psychologist in the Department of Psychiatry at the University of Arizona. a place that was also progressive and invited innovation. With the help of my colleagues and my department head, we established a psychology externship and then an internship that included primary care by a psychologist, by a psychology intern on the inpatient unit, which was unheard of at that time. The three of us on the psychology faculty also taught psychiatry residents, medical students, graduate nurses, and social worker students, and social work students. Once again, something new for psychologists back then. As a founding member of SAPA, Southern Arizona Psychological Association, in 1973, I tackled with my colleagues what was called freedom of choice legislation. You see, at that time, psychologists had to have insurance forms co-signed by a physician in order to get paid. As such, clients did not have the freedom to choose a psychologist as a therapist unless they paid out of pocket. As you might imagine, there were very few psychologists in private practice at that time in the 1970s. So in a nutshell, that was the broader scene, both nationally and locally. On my last stop down memory lane, I think I'm most gratified by two projects because they affected the greatest number of people. The first was chairing the ASPA fundraising committee a couple of times and helping to create what was then the Millennium Circle, devoted to major gifts, thus helping our organization remain on solid financial footing. For this, I must thank my wife, Barbara, who, as an internationally recognized fundraising professional, taught me everything I know about raising money and a lot more. I also came to realize all of us earn our living because of the community in which we live. Playing a role in reaching out to the Tucson community on the SAPA and the Community Committee has been an outstanding and gratifying experience. Not only has this program given psychology visible presence, it has helped a number of institutions become more psychologically minded. All of this is to say that I do not think you receive an honor like this one by yourself, even if it is an award for an individual's lifetime achievement. In my view, the needs were great. The opportunities were many. The encouragement was strong, and the help from colleagues in Tucson and throughout Arizona was abundant. Again, I thank you all so much for this very meaningful and extraordinary award.
Thank you again, Dr. Levy, and congratulations. I want to thank you all again for joining us this evening to show appreciation and honor these outstanding psychologists and people. I'd also like you to take a few moments in the next couple of days to visit the ASPA website, www.aspa.org, and click on the link for the ASPA 2020 Minicons. These are a series of online CE programs adapted from our traditional in-person convention programming that was underway before the pandemic. November 7th, we will be offering a training in the ethical, legal, and personal considerations in closing a private practice, and one on helping parents raise well-adjusted children. Our final program on December 5th will focus on grief as a process of relearning how to live in a world changed by loss, with some thoughts on the impact of COVID. Good night. Be well, everyone.